Hi, my name is Pip. I'm one of the physios at Sydney Advanced Physiotherapy in Linfield, and this video is for women who are pregnant with twins, triplets or more babies, and also for women looking to recover after giving birth to multiple babies. Preparing your body for pregnancy, for delivery and for motherhood is a really important part of what a great women's health physio does. If you really think about it, pregnancy is a 9-month endurance event, which then builds you up for another endurance event at delivery. And delivery on its own can present a huge amount of varied challenge for your body, regardless of whether you have a vaginal delivery or a C-section. Carrying one baby sees your body go through an enormous amount of change in quite a short period of time, and carrying 2, 3, 4 babies or more increases the demands and the challenges that your body experiences as part of pregnancy and motherhood. It is really important for the mums to be out there who are carrying multiple babies to have a great women's health physio in their support system. It's also really important for any woman to have access to great women's health physios. As you have seen, if you've watched any of our other videos, there are multiple stages in a woman's life where we might need some help from a women's health physio, and it doesn't necessarily have anything to do with having babies, although that is a time when we actually see a large number of women come into the clinic with great reason. So what can a women's health physio do to help a mother preparing for multiple births? There are lots of things that a women's health physio could do to assist someone in their pregnancy and preparation for motherhood, as well as after delivery. If we look at the abdominal wall first, so your body has to accommodate a growing fetus or multiple babies, depending on your pregnancy. And what happens is your abdominal wall experiences an extraordinary stretch. The bigger your baby or the more babies you have, the more extraordinary the stretch is. And if you look at your six-pack muscles, your rectus abdominis, as it stretches, it actually slowly separates to accommodate for the growing child or children. So if we look at your rectus abdominis, so you've got a 3-pack on one side and a 3-pack on the other side, and there's a divide down the middle. Now that divide down the middle is called the linea alba, and as your stomach expands, that separation gets wider. As I've said, the larger the baby or the more babies you are carrying, then the more significant that separation can be. Also, poor abdominal strategies, so the way you use your tummy muscles can affect the separation width as well. So it's a really important thing to have your physio check early on in your pregnancy and throughout your pregnancy to make sure that as you continue to exercise, you are not putting yourself at risk for any further issues, and to make sure that you're supported as much as possible through the abdomen. Poor control strategies or poor alignment in the pelvis and the rib cage in particular can also really affect your abdominal separation, both during pregnancy and after delivery. And this really has huge implications for your ability to stabilize your pelvis, your ability to control your lower back and to not get disc bulges. It is a really underrated and super important area for a physio to be aware of and be working with you. Having a great women's health physio that can work with you during your pregnancy and after your pregnancy to normalize the way you use your stomach muscles and to address any separation issues is a really important part of the process, regardless of how many children you're carrying. But if you are carrying twins or more than 2 babies, it is super important and you cannot miss this step. It really is vital that you have the support of a good women's health therapist. It's really important to understand that after you've delivered, one of the priorities a women's health physio should have is getting the linea alba to feel tight and firm again. So as I said before, your 6-pack muscles, your rectus abdominis, you've got a 3-pack on one side and a 3-pack on the other side, and the tissue in the middle is the linea alba. Now, when we assess people's stomachs, sometimes what happens is that tissue is really floppy and you're not able to generate good tension on that tissue because you're not able to turn the right muscles on in the right order, or because your alignment is out of whack. And what happens is when you press into that tissue, you can push right through. You actually really want to be able to generate tension on the linea alba. You want it to feel like a t-shirt pulled tight, for example, when you're doing a little sit-up, a little crunch, because that is part of the stability system for how you support your lower back and your pelvis. And so long term, it actually has really significant pain implications. I know that really often when I see women in the clinic, they either didn't know that the linear alba that it even existed, or that they should be concerned about it, or that there was really anything that they needed to do about their separation, or they're really concerned about closing the gap and getting that separation to completely resolve. It's important that you understand that that might not happen. It might not completely close. It is very important though that the tissue in the middle, the linear alba, feels like a t-shirt pulled tight. The reason that the gap might not close is because your body is physically a different shape sometimes after you've had a baby. If you have carried 2, 3, 4 babies, it is even more likely that your body is going to be a different shape after you've delivered. Your hips might be slightly wider, your pelvis might be a slightly different shape, and your abdominal wall has gone through an extraordinary stretch. So it is possible that your separation may not close all the way, but it is vital that we get that tissue in the middle feeling like a t-shirt pulled tight. We need to get it strong and firm again to be able to support the rest of your body for life in general and for general well-being, but also the challenges of motherhood. You're going to be playing, you're going to be running, you're going to be chasing people around, you're going to be carrying them around. You need to have that tissue there so that your body can actually manage those loads. Regardless of whether you've had a vaginal delivery or a C-section, pregnancy is a strain on the pelvic floor. Carrying multiple babies increases the strain on the pelvic floor, and what a great women's health therapist would do is have a look at the way your pelvic floor is contracting and help you get it nice and strong. But it's also really important to look at the pelvic floor as a muscle group and look at how well those muscles are contracting individually, whether there's a balance between the right and the left, because these muscles are involved not only in controlling your bladder and bowel, they're also involved in your sexual function. So it's really important that these muscles are addressed and that consideration is given for how well they're functioning, both prenatally and postnatally. Your pelvic floor is also there to provide some really important support for your pelvic organs, such as your bladder, your uterus, and your bowel. Making sure that your pelvic floor is strong and it functions well is a really important part of trying to prevent prolapses. Now, prolapses do sometimes happen as part of the birthing process, and they can happen at other times. But one of the reasons why we see particularly early stage, so smaller prolapses, is because of inadequate support from the pelvic floor, from tightness in the diaphragm, and from poor alignment putting extra pressure on the pelvic floor from other areas of the body. Now, it is really important that you have a great women's health physio who can determine whether any of these external factors are affecting the pelvic floor. So for example, whether your alignment in your rib cage is affecting your pelvic floor. That's something we really commonly see because people get tight through the rib cage because they carry their babies only on one side, or because they're struggling to carry 2 babies, or because they hunch their chest forward to breastfeed their children. And you can get tight in the rib cage, and that can really easily put a whole lot of pressure down through to your stomach, so that you have a little belly that's always there regardless of how heavy or not heavy you are and how firm your stomach is. And it can also put a huge amount of strain on your pelvic floor and your pelvic organs. So a great women's health physio is going to be able to assess your pelvic floor, assess for any prolapses. They're going to be able to assess your abdominal wall. Another really important consideration is after a cesarean, physios can actually really help quite a lot with scar tissue. So not just in terms of the aesthetics of the scar, although we can help trying to get rid of lumpy scars. There's certain techniques that we can do. But also what you're trying to do is get the scar tissue not to adhere to everything underneath, because if it does, it can affect your bladder function, it can affect your muscle function. We need to try and get involved earlier with women after they've had a cesarean so that we can get tissue to slide again. What happens with scar tissue sometimes is it sticks, and then when you try and contract the muscles, you can't get as much slide as you would ordinarily get because the scar tissue is impacting the fascial slide. So if you've had a cesarean, please make sure you go and see a women's health physiotherapist to get help. So the last thing I'll say is that motherhood is hardcore. Motherhood requires quite a lot of strength and endurance, and it is all kinds of different challenges. Now, if you are having twins, triplets, or more babies, One of the things that people really don't think about often is the strain that's going to be physically on your body. So your wrist strength, your arm strength, and your shoulder strength and control. You need to be able to carry multiple babies, care for them, feed them, and your body needs to be up to that challenge. It is a really great idea if you're expecting twins or triplets or multiples that you go and see a physio early and start building up your muscle strength and start building up your body control so that your body is ready for the demands of motherhood. If you've already delivered, that is not to say that we can't definitely step in and help you and help your body cope better with the demands that you're experiencing. I hope that your takeaway from this video is that you understand that physio is a really important part of the preparation for birth and the recovery after birth. It is really vital for your own long-term well-being and for your body's long-term well-being. And if you have any questions, I hope you'll feel free to drop comments below. You can always get in touch with us more privately on social media or via our website. And you can come in and see one of our therapists at any time. We have lots of wonderful women's health physios who understand the demands on your body that happen as a result of pregnancy and delivery and motherhood. And we'd be absolutely delighted to help you. So please check out our website, sydneyadvancedphysio.com.au, or you can call us on 9416 4410.